This video is sponsored by Normandy 1998, Ash, and Team Valor. We resume in the bowels of Scrapnik Island with Metal and Mecha hard at work, though this time not an excavation. Instead, the brothers are attempting to recover Metal's lost memories in the wake of his system diagnostic, which partially confirmed the claims of Eggman Nega. As the grey mustachioed man is gone, possibly even deceased if his words to Sonic are to be believed, the two androids are doing the next best thing, which is a complete system scan, subroutine by subroutine. With this seeing Metal on an operating table, a large helmet affixed to his azure head, while Mecha stands at a nearby computer terminal, meticulously reading out each result. It is a slow and laborious process, but thankfully, the two robots are both well trained in patience, and without the need to sleep, they can fit this in when they are not required to perform their other work in service of the island's upkeep. However, it seems today's session will be cut short, as with something like panic in his large eyes, Sigma enters the room. Deactivating the scanner and looking to his friend, Mecha asks what's wrong, with the Green E-series stating that most of Scrapnik Island's beach has been swallowed by the sea. Logical as ever, Metal, who is now sitting up, questions if it could just be an abnormally high tide. Though shaking his head, Sigma refutes this, replying it came up much too fast and has lingered too long to be the tide, with it seeming almost like water displacement. Going into computational mode, Mecha posits that if this is the case, the new layout object would have to be something quite sizable, a deduction all assembled can agree with, causing Metal to take the initiative and stroll over to Mecha's terminal, switching on the comms and trying to contact Shadow. Punctual as ever, the Black Hedgehog states that he had a feeling he'd be hearing from the Scrapniks any minute now, as they'd be the ones most affected by this new island that's shown up on the Ark's map. He then transmits a 2D image of Scrapnik Island and its surrounding ocean, with it taking no time at all for the trio of robots to recognize what has changed. A large island has just appeared in the sea not far from them, and just off the coast of Angel Island. As the only who can fly, Metal volunteers to investigate, since islands don't just pop up in the middle of the ocean. Though figuring this to just be basic reconnaissance, he doesn't bother calling for Emerald, deciding to let his son enjoy some time off in peace, while he follows this lead alone. Rising into the air with the thrum of his jet engine, the fastest machine in existence takes little time traveling to this unknown island, and coming to a stop on a coastline that feels oddly familiar, though too generic to be immediately recognizable. Taking off at a light run, Metal scans around for any abnormalities or even signs of life, with it not requiring long to find both, as the all-too-familiar sound of the Eggmobile gliding over the ground fills his auditory senses, seeing him change course and almost immediately encounter the craft. Though this is not his only surprise, as its inhabitant is none other than the one he had wished he could speak with. Eggman Nega. Coming to an abrupt halt, Metal demands the rotund scientist stop where he is, since he wants to ask him questions about these gaps in his memory. Though cackling that he had his chance last time they met, Nega jets off at top speed, forcing Metal to follow him, all the while demanding he stop. However, it seems the one who will be stopping is none other than Metal himself, as he suddenly finds himself paralyzed, while some unknown energy crackles around him. From a cursory scan, he can confirm that it is not EMP, nor any other electromagnetic spectrum he is aware of, though all the same he cannot escape it, or even move a single servo no matter how hard he tries. Meanwhile, from the forested foliage that now surrounds him, Metal hears a voice he does not know, who hatefully calls him Mark 3.0, while taunting that blue really isn't his colour, before leaping into view and revealing himself to be a silver hedgehog who has adopted a combat stance. Worrying that this has something to do with his lost memories as well, Metal asks if the silver hedgehog knows him, with the other expressing shock that he can talk, though declaring that won't stop him from destroying him for what he and his master did to his world. Getting a real sense of deja vu here, Metal states that Nega isn't his master. In fact, they're enemies, with the silver hedgehog expressing skepticism, as this could just be another of Nega's tricks. That is until he catches sight of Metal's eyes, muttering that a new paint job is one thing, but to rewire his eyes, that's not something the Doc would do for a scheme, so he guesses he isn't him then. He then releases the strange paralyzing force, allowing Metal to drop to the ground, before introducing himself as Silver, and casually dropping the bombshell that he's from 200 years in this world's future. Curiously, Metal asks what he's doing here and why he attacked him, to which Silver explains that he travelled back in time to stop Nega from taking over the world, since a while back, he mysteriously appeared out of nowhere in his time, and started causing havoc, plundering seemingly random places, as if looking for something. Though now he knows what he was looking for was a means to travel back in time, having found it here on Onyx Island. Apparently, according to him, the world of the future is a false timeline, whatever that means, with the Mad Doc intending to change the past and establish what he calls a mighty Eggman dynasty who will rule the world for all time, something Silver most definitely does not want, as just dealing with Nega is enough, without having to be ruled by him. Grimly, Metal concurs with his assessment, vowing to help Silver hunt down Nega, though for the sake of trust, he does explain that when they beat the Silverhead scientist, he needs to question him, since it seems as though he has a history with Nega that he can't remember. Deeming this reasonable, Silver agrees to these terms, on the proviso that once Metal's got his answers, he can take Nega back to the future, where he will answer for his crimes. With this settled, the two hedgehogs take off, and despite the fact that the Eggmobile does not leave tracks, it does not take them long to find Nega, who now floats casually in a clearing, as if he is waiting for them. Sternly, Silver orders the doctor not to try and run again, though with a smug smile, Nega replies that on the contrary, he's right where he wants to be, just as they are right where he wants them to be, taunting that he led his two foes here on purpose. Already fed up with Nega's penchant for talking in riddles, Metal tersely tells him to explain, with the bald man sneering that it's like the old saying goes, three's a crowd, so he thought he'd turn it into a party with four, adding that Silver knows this final guest, but for Metal, it will be new, but at the same time, very familiar. He then orders Mach 3.0 to come out, with Silver's expression becoming one of worry at these words, though before Metal can question why, a fist catches him on the cheek, sending him crashing into the dirt. Looking up, Metal sees his assailant to be none other than a black and gold replica of himself, who glares hatefully with the same red eyes he once had, before springing at him once again. Rolling backwards onto his feet, Metal meets this next hit with a block, before attempting to sweep his duplicate's legs, only for Mach 3.0 as Nega called him, to leap over the sweep and drive a jet-boosted knee into his chin. Watching on proudly, Nega taunts that he made Mach 3.0 in Metal's image, considering he proved a valuable partner once before, though this version is unwaveringly loyal to him, so there will be no repeats of their last encounter. Unfortunately for Metal, he cannot ask what the man means by this, as his attention is entirely focused on holding off Mach 3.0, who is every bit as capable a fighter as him, if not more, as he seems to have Metal's personality and fighting style on file, allowing him to match and even predict Metal's moves, putting the blue bot at a steep disadvantage. Seeing that everything is under control here, Nega decides that now is the time to make his departure, but before he goes, he decides to drop one more barb, sneering that if it's any consolation, he's not here for the Gizoid this time, he's here to do what Metal failed to do time and again, kill Dr. Eggman, and take over the Eggman Empire. Coolly, Metal retorts that Eggman died at Night Babylon, he's convinced of it, but snarky as ever, Nega tells him that if only he remembered their first meeting, he would not say such things. Then, without another word, he takes off. Refusing to lose him this time, Metal and Silver follow suit, with this of course meaning Mach 3.0 gives chase, still glaring at Metal as he remains firmly on the blue android's tail. Saying that this is also giving him deja vu, but this time he's in Sonic's position, Metal tells Silver to keep on Nega and try to slow him down, while he deals with the faker, since he's pretty sure he only cares about him, meaning the spiky-haired hedgehog will have better odds of succeeding if he draws the black and gold bot away. Expressing genuine worry for his new ally, Silver urges Metal to be safe, with the android repeating the instruction back at him. Then, with matching small nods, they split up, with Mach 3.0 predictably chasing after Metal, even if Silver would have been a smarter quarry, as the one chasing his master. Curiously, Metal asks why Mach 3.0 has such animosity towards him, though in this he gets no response, with the other android being as taciturn as he once was, causing Metal to at last understand how unnerving he must have appeared during his early encounters with Sonic and his friends. Another similarity between how Metal once was and his new copy is that when he gets close, Mach 3.0 attempts to immobilize him with a ring spark field, which Metal knows to be quite dangerous, albeit highly derivative, and so accelerates to avoid the discharge. By now, the two androids have completed a circuit of this island, which has meant crossing through several different biomes, such as jungle, desert, and even volcanic plains, with this giving Metal a hunch as to why this place is so familiar. Deciding to put it to the test, he suddenly changes course, heading more inland, with his mind set on a specific cave, and as he had hoped, it soon blooms out of the tree cover, confirming his theory that this is in fact Angel Island from the future transported back in time with Nega and Silver. If that is the case, then presumably this version of Angel Island must have a Master Emerald of its own, which if he can reach first, should grant him the power he needs to throw off his pursuer. To this end, he leads the black and gold bot into the inaccurately named Endless Mines, using his familiarity with the place to preempt each hairpin turn, in the hope that Mach 3.0 will not be able to do the same, and will become lost in the tunnels, slowing him down. Unfortunately, to his credit, Nega is a skilled roboticist, having programmed Mach 3.0 to be as sharp and adaptive as Metal himself, meaning that even if he does not know the layout of these mines, he can recognize when his quarry is planning to change course, and can ape his trajectory with perfect precision. As a result, when Metal emerges from the mines a short time later, Mach 3.0 is still on his tail, forcing Metal to steer away from the Master Emerald Shrine, and instead begin looping his way up Red Mountain, kicking up a trail of red dust in his wake, and remembering the time he came here with Gamma. He just hopes this trip will not end the same way, with a dead android strewn across the mountaintop. Even at their top speeds, the path up the mountain is a long one, giving Metal a moment to speak with his doppelganger, and though he knows he won't, and possibly can't reply, he still feels compelled to at least try and reason with him, making the logical point that Nega does not care about Mark 3.0, just as Eggman did not care about him, with the two doctors only viewing them as weapons to be used and cast aside. But what's more, is they convince them to believe that lie too, and to serve them fervently, no matter how often their loyalty was repaid with contempt and cruelty. However, thanks to his friends and their refusal to abandon him even when he's faltered, he has discovered a life of more than just servitude, a life driven by a purpose he chose for himself, and now he'd like to help Mark 3.0 do the same. At this point, the two racing robots have reached the summit, and as Metal comes skidding to a stop facing his counterpart, he does not adopt a fighting stance, instead offering him a hand in friendship. Unfortunately for Metal, this is met with the same cold outrage he felt when offered during the Angel Island incident, and so it comes as a little surprise when Mark 3.0 extends his hand, not in fellowship, but as a punch, aimed right at the blue bot's head. Having expected this in spite of his hopes to the contrary, Metal is able to narrowly dodge the blow, though this is not all he does, as with something like a mournful glint to his green eyes, he powers up a ring spark field of his own, blowing Mark 3.0 back and leaving him twitching in the dirt. However, knowing that will not be enough to stop his new rival, or even slow him down for very long, Metal does not squander the lead he bought himself, taking flight and rushing through the air towards where he knows the shrine should be. Thankfully, this at least is still the same as the present version of Angel Island, with a great green gem soon coming into view in the distance. However, as he knew would be the case, he is not the only one speeding towards it, as having recovered quite quickly from the shock, Mark 3.0 is now rapidly gaining on Metal, so that before long they are neck and neck, no longer attempting to fight, as they both know the deciding factor will be who lays a hand on the Master Emerald first. In an attempt to ensure that it is them, the two androids push themselves to their max speeds, easily breaking the sound barrier, and finding them to once again be comparable, as they transition from open skies to soaring just above the ancient stone floor of the shrine, their hands now each outstretched. Even with brains capable of vast computations far outside the realm of organics, it is impossible to tell who will reach the Master Emerald first, with the final sprint coming down to an attosecond, as one set of metallic fingers presses against the jewel before it vanishes in a blinding flash of light, revealing the winner to be Metal. Floating triumphantly in the center of the shrine, Super Metal shines a magnificent, majestic gold, while across the plaza, Mark 3.0 comes skidding to a stop, his clawed fingers digging 3 deep grooves in the stone, as he glares up at his template with burning fury in those red eyes. He then lunges at him once more, determined to carry out his master's orders no matter the cost to himself, though this time, fortune does not favor him, as all it takes is a single uppercut from Super Metal to force Mark 3.0 into critical shutdown, having only survived because Metal pulled the punch. Nonetheless, as he watches the unconscious body of his doppelganger hit the floor, Metal cannot help but be struck by a sense of remorse, vowing that he will return here and save Mark 3.0, though first he has to do the unthinkable, and actually save the life of Dr. Eggman. And that's where we'll leave things for now. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts, suggestions, or screams of rage in the comments below.